All right, we're going back into the classroom. And you might be thinking, how hard can it be to eat only meat and salt, right? How hard could it be to construct a diet where literally there's only one thing that you're eating, one category of food, meat, right? Well, it is actually pretty easy to screw this up. And it's pretty easy to fix. So I'm going to kind of break down how to construct this meat only diet, zero carbohydrate, only um, animal flesh. All right. So the first thing we got to look at, the way I'm going to approach this is in sorry, I'm referring to quantities here. The goal here should be roughly, I say 1 gram per pound of goal weight. All right. I always start every diet constructing it around protein. Okay. For this diet, when literally it's only meat that we're eating, we are simply going to match that. So really, I could just said the same thing here. 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of fat per pound of goal weight. Okay. So say goal weight. If you are trying to just maintain the same body composition you have, great. This is just body weight. Okay. If you're trying to lose weight, it's that number. If you're trying to gain weight, it's that number. Okay. So another way of putting this, and I like to say this with, again, any diet, eat the diet of the person you want to become. Okay. If you're trying to support your current body, great. That's your marker. Up or down, it's the same thing. All right. So we're going to look at a 200-pound dude here. That could be somebody who is presently and wants to stay there, somebody who's 220 and thinks they should be 210, somebody who's 180 and thinks they should be 200. Sorry, 200. Okay, all of that stays roughly the same. So this 200-pound dude eating 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of fat, okay, because there's 4 calories per gram in protein and 9 calories per gram in fat. This right here, 800 calories from the protein, 1,800 calories from the fat. Okay, this 2,600 calories, that's like your baseline. I don't know, I do it with my marker here. It's over here. That's going to be like your baseline. So if we were to plot this out on like one of those fancy little charts here, it's about 30% protein and about 70% fat from a total energy consumption standpoint. Okay, equal in grams, much more energy, much more density to fat than the protein. Okay, I would say this should increase with activity level, probably. This is probably a kind of a baseline. You know, I would say you've got probably 10% wiggle room there easily. If you're super active, right, you will want to increase that. That's there's definitely wiggle room for that. Okay. So the way to get here, okay, and this is kind of like the key thing. The way to get here is through fatty meat, okay? Because when we look at ribeye, you look at your 80-20 ground beef, you look at a pork butt, the roughly, these are rough numbers. I'm not going for super specifics here. I'm going for something that's easy for you to grab onto and take with you every time you're making a decision. The rough math that I want you to remember is 100 grams of protein. 100 grams of protein is about what you get in a pound of meat, okay? Especially with those meats that I listed off. With pretty much a 1-to-1 protein to fat ratio, okay? So this guy could eat 2 pounds of ribeye in a day, right? If he eats twice a day, great. Eat 1 pound for meal 1, 1 pound for meal 2, okay? If you need to divide it by 3, great. Divide that by 3, whatever that is in the amount of ounces, okay? Start with the whole, figure out what your daily need is, divide it by the number of meals you need, okay? Then, using this ratio here, about 100 grams of protein per pound of meat, if you're eating these fatty cuts, that's going to get you there, okay? So, the pitfalls, all right? The pitfalls are, I would say, most likely if you're eating whole cuts of meat, the biggest pitfall is probably going to be not eating enough fat. Okay. So if you are eating, let's say you're eating your 200 grams of protein, but it's through leaner cuts or a leaner grind or, a leaner animal like a chicken. Okay. So for example, like a chicken thigh could get you close to this, but I still don't think it's quite a 1-to-1 ratio. Still going to be higher protein than fat. Here's the two biggest things that are going to happen. Okay, one is when you are carbohydrate depleted and you do not have enough fat that you're consuming, you might be low on energy. Okay, but the second thing is our stools will tell us quite a bit. Okay, so in this case, you're probably going to get backed up. Okay, you're probably going to be backed up if you have essentially just not enough fat paired with the amount of protein you're eating. Right, so then you can kind of do the math here. If you have the reverse of that, which I would say is more difficult to do if the only thing you're eating is meat, but if it's like you're eating lots of sausages with tons of added fat in there, where the fat content ends up exceeding the protein content, and you get way too much fat, your stools are going to be loose. Okay, so those are kind of two really easy signs to tell you, are you kind of hitting the mark there, right? Hunger, as long as you're kind of adapting to this diet, hunger is a good cue, right? Eat when you're hungry. When you're eating this amount of fat, it's very satiating. Okay, protein as well. So that can be something, but if over a few days you start to feel like, hey, something's not quite right, energy's not quite where I would like it to be, do the math, right? Figure out, am I eating enough? And again, if this exact 1-to-1 gram per pound of body weight or goal weight isn't quite doing it for you, right? Bump it up a little bit, right? Add another 10% or so, and that's probably what you need, especially if you're more active. That should get you there. All right. Hope this helps. Get your calculators out if you need to.